На гости съм на Q-сервис и днеска ще разбием и ще щупиме всички видове митове за турбините. Бегали, не бегали, кога киха, кога кашля, изпуска ли, по-икономична ли е, бърза ли е, чупи ли се, ще сложим ли топла част, ще сложим ли студена част, защото всички обичаме турбинките. Колко повече турбинки, повече с една турбина ли е, с две турбини ли е, битурбо ли е, три турбо ли е, твин турбо ли е, скрол турбо ли е. Днеска ще си говорим за тия неща. Здрасти, момчиле, изключително ми е драго. Кой днеска ни е на гости?
Ами, определено мога да кажа, че това е един от основните ми учители в моят професионален път. Казва се Яцек Ратайчек.
Nice to meet you. Здравей.
Nice to meet you. Hello.
Здравей.
И той е всъщност идва от един от малкото авторизирани представители на BorgWarner, на Garrett, на Hitachi, Mitsubishi и други големи производители в света. Той е всъщност представителя за Източна Европа и от него съм се учил много. Решихме, че е време да надградим това, което сме говорили с теб в предишни епизоди и да го поканим. Okay, Jacek, please tell our viewers a couple of words about yourself and the technical role that you occupy.
I have been working for the past 20 years for the same company, which is Motorema company from Poland. The company is the authorized distributor of the main manufacturers of turbochargers, the brands you have already mentioned, and it's also the turbocharger service. Currently, I hold the position of the branch manager in the company, but also I work as a technical trainer. I contribute trainings for our customers in Poland, and in fact, I have had a pleasure to deliver some trainings to the customers here in Bulgaria as well in the past.
Нека да обясниме какво е турбокомпресора, въпреки че има епизод за него и как работи с две изречения.
Well, the turbocharger is using actually the energy of the exhaust, which would be wasted in a non-turbocharged engine. So the exhaust from the exhaust manifold enter the turbine side of the turbocharger, spinning the turbine wheel to a very high speed of sometimes over 300,000 RPM, and then they leave to the exhaust gas system. From the other side, as the turbine wheel is spinning, it's connected with the compressor wheel by the shaft. They have a common shaft. So on the other side, when the turbine wheel is spinning, also the compressor wheel is spinning. On this side, we have the delivery of air from the air filter side. So the air entering the compressor wheel is being accelerated and then compressed in the housing. And then such compressed air gets mostly through the intercooler to be cooled down straight to the engine. So by using the energy of the exhaust, we actually deliver the additional power, more compressed air back to the engine, to the combustion chamber of the engine.
Okay, great. And let me start with the hot topic of all hot topics around. So, is it right or wrong to check shaft play like this, by hand?
Ти започваш направо директно с директния въпрос. Първо да почваме с това, по-добре да караме турбокола или по-добре да караме атмосферна кола, ако още има?
Okay, that's a tricky question, right? From my point of business, it's better to have a turbocharged car only, right? But of course, turbocharged car means that you may have some additional problems. You have another component in the engine that you have to take care of, right? But the whole technology of turbocharging system, I think it's great. Because nobody ever had found a solution to use the energy of the exhaust just to compress more air and to put it back in the engine. So in a way, the turbocharger system is really great. So I would say that the turbocharged cars are right now the most popular cars on the market. That's the future, and I don't think anything will happen that will change this trend on the market.
Преди да минем към съществената част, просто ще обобща. Само преди 10-15 години един 2000 кубиков турбодвигател произвеждаше горе-долу между 150 и 200 конски сили, като добре познатите ни едно време Ланча, там Тойота и такива бяха по 220-240 кони и се възхищавахме на еволюшените, които имаха 260-280 конски сили, Subaru 300. Сега вече, ако вземем едно Mercedes AMG, 2000 кубика, 380 коня с една турбинка и да не говорим, че харчи под 10 на 100. Така, само че с малко по-скъпичко. Така че нека да си говорим сега чисто технически и да ни разкажете и двамата какво да проверяваме, какво да гледаме, как се чупи.
Yeah. Okay, let me get back to the hottest topic around. So, is it right or wrong to check shaft play like this by hand?
That actually is a hot topic. I get asked that question quite a lot. And yes, the answer is yes. It's actually the best way for both the end users and the mechanics without disassembling the turbo to check the shaft play. So you can do it by hand. When you take out the hose from the air filter side, you put your hand and you check the shaft play. That's the way you can do it. And in fact, if the blades are not rubbing over the housings, so they are not rolled on the side edge, if the shaft play is normal, so the blades are not damaged, that's okay. You can leave that. You don't have to worry about it. Only when you see that the shaft play is really big, so the edges, the side edge is damaged, that's called red, and that means that the turbocharger is already damaged. You need to replace it or you need to repair it.
Okay, but somebody is checking the shaft play like this by hand. The oil film inside is missing, actually.
Well, if we talk about the brand new turbocharger that's taken out of the box, of course the shaft play will be bigger because this turbocharger is only pre-lubricated in the factory. When we check the turbo in a car that's still mounted in the engine and we just take the hose out, well, the play will be different, right? Okay. Sometimes the customers, they ask, okay, so what is the proper movement of the shaft? How much is it? In fact, we don't even know this, how much should it be there, because the turbo manufacturers, they don't share this information. So the best way to check is just by hand, and that's the easiest way at the same time. There's a double oil film inside the turbocharger. So, as I said before, the turbocharger taken out of the box, the brand new product, when it has a high shaft play, it's nothing to be worried about. It's absolutely normal, because only when the oil film is created inside the turbocharger, on the bearings, on the shaft, this, let's say, big movement of the shaft is eliminated to the specific value of the shaft play.
Okay.
One more thing, the radial shaft play is acceptable. It must be inside the turbocharger, but the axial play is unacceptable. At least in the size of a passenger car, turbocharger is not acceptable, so there should be none of the axial play.
In order for you to check the real shaft play, you should do it while the engine is running, but this is not recommended.
Exactly. Never try this at home. You should never check the movement while the turbocharger is running with a speed of over 100,000 RPM.
Винаги съм се очудвал при такива високи обороти, как просто майстора, викам, толкова ли експерт той, че с пръста го проверява и знае веднага. Значи там говориме за някакви микрони, човека с пръста го проверява и вика, няма проблеми, ще кара.
Another hot topic around. Are long life oils good or bad?
That's a tricky question. So, in my opinion, which means that I will not be, let's say, politically correct at this point. So, the long life oils are, in my opinion, the good quality oils. They are high quality oils. I didn't finish yet, let me finish. So, they are good quality oils as an oil itself. Because they have a higher thermal stability, they have a higher oxidation resistance. There are a lot of additives inside, good quality additives, so the oil itself is good.
Yeah, the technology behind the product is totally different.
But the long life oil policy, well, that's bad in my opinion, because the longer intervals, the extent of the intervals to 30, 40, 50,000 kilometers, even on such good quality oil like the long life oil is, well, that's something bad. Because as we observe only on the example of turbocharger, the number one reason for all the failures of turbochargers currently, and especially in the modern engines, is the oil contamination. So when the engine drives 30,000 kilometers or even more on one oil, no, that's a disaster.
Наистина разбирате, че гостите, които идват, това са хора, които са в най-високото ниво на иерархията в каквото и да показваме, но те са искрени и не казват какво трябва по книжка, а казват тяхното мнение.
Now, let's talk about deleting DPFs. Nobody's doing it here,
Of course.
but we just have to spread the knowledge. So, if a cousin of mine deletes his DPF, is he possibly getting an oil leak problem? I mean, is pressure balance affected in any way by deleting DPF?
Well, DPF is actually another hot topic, as you said, because, well, people hate DPFs. They create a lot of problems. They get clogged. They also affect the turbocharger. When DPF gets clogged, there's a back pressure of the exhaust, which actually affects the turbocharger. But deleting the DPF is, again, not the solution, because that may also affect the turbocharger if a cousin of yours deletes his DPF. Well, we must all remember that the sealing system inside the turbocharger is mostly based on the pressure balance.
Yeah.
So the first condition for the sealing system to work is that there must be a pressure of the air on one side of the turbo and the pressure of the exhaust on the other side. And now the pressure of the air and the pressure of the exhaust will be always higher than the pressure of oils here on the bearings. So whenever you do anything about the system, for example, you remove DPF, you cut it out, you may cause the thing that the pressure behind the turbine drops. When the pressure of the exhaust drops below the pressure of oil, you may start to have the oil leakage problem on the exhaust side. I know that because, let's say, a cousin of mine did it.
Yeah, okay.
And so he had this problem. He got rid of one problem, which was the clogged DPF.
Okay.
But then he started to have a new problem, which was the leaking turbocharger. So it's not recommended. Even though DPFs are quite expensive to service, to maintenance, to replace, we still do not recommend removing.
Не може ли това да се коригира софтуерно? Ако е добър мапъра, може ли да реши проблема?
Again, I would not like to be misunderstood. I'm not saying that if you remove DPF, you will have this problem, the leaking turbocharger problem, in every single case. I know some people who did it and they didn't observe any leakage, but it's something you have to keep in mind, that it's absolutely possible that whenever you remove DPF, you will have this problem. But about the software, there are right now a lot of companies on the market that offer such service, that they change the whole map, they change the software. I don't actually know how are the results, whether it works or not, but you have to stay close to all those values of pressure, because every single turbocharger is actually designed for the specific value of the pressure in the engine. That's the point. If we change something, well, we also change the condition of operation of the turbo.
Може ли, момче, да кажем, че ако по най-лесния начин резнеме катализатора с DPF-а, сложиме софтуер, когато почва да върви повече, може нищо да не се случи и може ли в крайна сметка да стигнем до там да счупи двигателя?
Ами от това, което сме коментирали с него, всъщност проблемът тук е чисто физически, защото се променят наляганията. И ти дори да направиш софтуерна модификация, това няма как да промени и да върне тези стойности на налягането, които трябва да бъдат.
Ама тук в България не се радваме, почва да върви повече. Почва да надува на бар и половина, на 2 бара нагоре и почва да върви яката, нищо че пуши.
Това е факт и той го спомена, че всъщност вероятността да се получи теч на масло от турбокомпресора е много голяма, но не е задължително да се получи. Така че има някакъв малък шанс реално да си се отървал от DPF, от катализатор, от проблемите свързани с тях и да нямаш теч на масло, но шансът е малък.
Но тук не може да гарантира никой всъщност.
Да, точно така. Okay, if I have massive layer of oil on my compressor wheel only, is the turbocharger to blame?
If you only have the layer of oil on the compressor wheel and you don't find any mechanical, physical damage to the parts inside, well, no, mostly it's not the turbocharger's fault, because whenever you find the oil here on the compressor side, I'm not talking about the oil mist, because there will always be some oil mist, right? Okay. But if it's a massive layer, as you said, in 99% of the cases, is the PCV to blame for that, because it's the engine breather filter.
Valve.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the oil gets together with the air from the air filter side, enters the compressor wheel, and then when turbocharger is running, the compressor wheel is only pushing the oil on the intercooler side.
Yeah.
So that's in most of the cases not the turbocharger's fault. So it should not be blamed. The other thing is that, of course, you should not drive too long with such problem, because the thing is that when the oil gets stick to the blades here on the compressor wheel, it actually changes the weight of this element, and that leads to the imbalance of the assembly. So after driving with a long time with such problem, you may start to have the balance problem. So the shaft play will get bigger and bigger, and that will only get worse.
Yeah, and the blades will eventually rub the housing.
Exactly.
Okay, let's assume that I have my malfunction indicator lamp on, and engine power is reduced, and I can definitely hear some whistling noise coming from underneath the hood. So it is most likely caused by turbocharger hose damage. What should I do? Should I contact my car workshop like right away and make an appointment, or can I drive like that for a month or so?
Definitely not. You should react as soon as possible. Because the thing is that when the hose is broken, there's any leakage of the air from the turbocharger. The situation is like this. The engine doesn't get enough power, enough pressure from the turbocharger, right? So the ECU finds it as not enough pressure. It sends back the signal to the turbocharger that it needs more pressure. There's not enough pressure. So turbocharger, it's trying to compensate this loss of pressure. It actually speed up. And if you drive too long with this problem, this may actually end up as an overspeeding problem, because the turbocharger will be running with a very high speed. That will actually cause the damage of the wheel, because since the turbocharger will be running with the over normative speed, the centrifugal force will work on those wheels and they will be stretched.
Okay.
So the material, the structure of the material will get damaged, it wrinkles. It looks like the orange peel effect, like the orange peel, so it's called the orange peel effect.
Okay.
And it actually is the same result as the incorrect chip tuning of the car. So the answer is as soon as possible. You should react for that. Go to the workshop, replace that hose, whether it's the reason of the leakage is the hose itself because it's broken, or maybe the clamps are tightened, but you should not drive too long. If you hear the noise, the whistle from the turbocharger, you should definitely react as soon as possible.
Значи ето виждаш ли, нещо толкова просто като маркуч на турбокомпресора не трябва да бъде неглижирано, а трябва веднага да се посети сервис.
Значи почне ли да кашля и да съска, тогава не ни е готино или ки-ки-кил, а трябва да отидем веднага при майстора.
Okay, now let me get back to turbocharger oil leaks. What are the other possible reasons for turbocharger oil leaks? I mean, are there any other causes?
There are quite a few of them, except for the failure of turbocharger itself, right? Because if there's any mechanical, physical damage, of course turbocharger will leak, that's obvious. But if the turbocharger is fine, it's not damaged, and you still find the leakage, well, there are a few reasons for that. As a first one that comes to my mind is, for example, the blockage of the drain line. So whenever it is caused by the wrong gasket, which is used on the oil drain line, because the gasket should never cover the oil flow in the pipe. You should always pay attention to the correct gasket to be chosen for the installation. And then the other thing may be the pipe itself. It can be bent, it can be dented, it can be simply blocked by carbon inside. Whatever that is blocking the oil flow from the turbocharger may cause the oil leakage, because, of course, the oil is delivered to the turbo with the pressure, and after it makes the work done on the bearings, it leaves the turbocharger by the gravity force. So whenever there is any blockage in the drain line, that may cause the situation that there will be too much of oil inside in the central housing. It will drain its way out from the turbo. It will start to leak. So that's one reason. The other one may be with the engine breather system, the PCV. whenever the valve is clogged, it does not take the overpressure out of the crankcase. The overpressure remains in the crankcase. That also blocks the free flow of oil from the turbocharger.
Yeah.
Or, for example, if the oil separator inside the filter is also worn out, it does not work properly, it does not separate the oil from the gases, the oil will be traveling along with the air from the air filter side and will enter the turbocharger from the compressor side. So that's the other thing. And also quite common reason for the leakage is when the oil level starts to increase, mostly because of mixing with fuel.
Yeah.
It's a DPF regeneration problem.
Yeah. Where oil is actually diluted by fuel.
Exactly, because, well, especially if someone is using the car at the short distances only in the city driving, the regeneration of DPF cannot actually finish, the ECU cannot finish the process. Each time it starts the process, there is additional amount of fuel being increased. And after some time, the fuel is leaking past the piston rings, mixes with oil, and the oil level is growing. So that if the oil level grows above the oil drain, that will also block the free flow of oil from the engine.
And what about high mileage? I mean, can high mileage lead to oil leak problems regarding turbochargers?
High mileage means that there's a bad condition of the engine, so there may be naturally a blow-by problem, and that may also end up with the leaking turbocharger.
Okay.
Колко е живота на едно турбо? Нали, да обясниме предварително, че всъщност турбото е консуматив. Не означава, че като е произведен двигател трябва да изкара до край. Знаеме, че има марки, които турбото изкарва повече от двигателя, но по принцип е консуматив и на определени километри трябва да се направи или ревизия, или да се подмени. И може ли да се ревизира? Много важен въпрос.
It all depends. It all depends on the customer, it all depends on the engine. I must say honestly that back in the past when the engines were, let's say, more simple construction, the turbocharger lasted longer. Now the turbocharger is working in a much harder conditions because of all the additional systems that we have in the engine. For example, the whole exhaust gas treatment system. There are so many additional components, the catalyst, the DPF, the SCRs, all the sensors, the EGR valves. So they all actually can cause an additional problem for the turbocharger because turbocharger is only a part of the system. It doesn't work separately. It interacts with any other components of the engine. So we used to say that original brand new turbochargers should last for at least 200, 250,000 kilometers. The question is if the modern engine will work that long. The downsized engines, the modern engines, if so, it's great. But because turbocharger is actually the, let's say, the fastest spinning component of the engine, it can reach the speed of over 300,000 RPM. Whenever there's any problem with the oil, the lubrication, the condition of the oil, the turbocharger actually fails as a first component because it's the fastest spinning element of the engine. That is why it's always good to take a good care of the turbocharger, not to risk some possible failures. But as I said, it depends on the specific engine. It depends on the end user.
Да ревизираме или да сменяме с нова?
A good one again. A good question. It depends. As I said, there are a lot of copy parts on the market. We all know that. And I must say, not all of those copy parts are bad quality parts, of course. There are some really, really weak parts, really bad quality, but none of them are. So I would say that it depends on what can you afford. Because if we consider the turbocharger as a product and we consider the operation of turbocharger, the conditions of operation, what's the most important about the let's say, repair of the turbo are the quality of the materials. Because the temperatures of the exhaust are getting higher and higher. As you know very well, the whole development of turbochargers is dedicated for the gasoline engines now, because the diesel are rather pushed out of the market, the diesel engines. So the temperatures in gasoline engines can reach over 1,000 degrees. So it's really a huge temperature. And then we understand how important the quality of the material is. I would say that if you are about to risk by repairing the turbocharger, if you are about to risk that the parts are not good quality, and the turbocharger will last for like half a year or only a year, and it will fail again, maybe it's better to buy a better quality product, maybe a new one, pay once, and forget about this issue.
And do manufacturers offer remanufactured turbochargers?
Yes, there are options of the reman products made directly from by the manufacturers. And well, in general, the manufacturers only remanufacture the housings. All the parts inside are replaced for new ones. So you have a brand new parts inside, and only the housings are remanufactured. So it's a completely rebuilt turbocharger. It's a really good quality product. The same as a new one, except for the housings which are remanufactured, but the internal parts are brand new.
Yeah, and you can still have the same warranty period.
You have the same warranty for that, and you can actually give the old turbo, old core back, and you lower the price of those products whenever you decide to buy a reman product.
Okay, all our viewers know that lubrication is really crucial to turbochargers. What should we all do in order to avoid lack of lubrication? Is there anything specific?
From the end consumer side, I would say that first of all, if you are using your car with a heavy speed driving, like a highway drive, it's always good to remember to cool down the turbo. When you suddenly shut down the engine, the oil flow stops, the turbocharger is still running, it's really hot. It needs to slow down, it needs to cool down, that takes time. So if you wait like 1.5 to 2 minutes before you shut down the engine, that's already enough for the turbo to keep it safe, because those 2 crucial minutes when you stop the car without shutting down the engine will lower the temperature over the bearings of nearly 30%. That's quite a lot. Yeah. It's only 2 minutes. That's one thing. The other thing is that, for sure, the important thing is that I know that many customers do that. That's why I always advise not to save money on those pipes. This is a crucial part of the turbo, the inlet pipe, the feed line.
Oil feed line, yeah.
Exactly. Very often in the engines, due to the construction, those pipes are quite close to the exhaust manifold. So the heat from the manifold just cooks the oil inside. In addition, they have a lot of corners, as you can see. When the carbon gets stuck in one of those corners, it blocks the oil feed line. So the oil, there's not enough oil, there's a lack of lubrication. Don't save money. I'm telling this to all the viewers. Don't save money on those pipes. They are really crucial for the turbocharger.
Това са брутални съвети.
A lot of people, they check the oil feed line by using compressed air. Is it right or wrong?
To be honest, we have made such experiment that we have checked those pipes on different methods. We try to clean those pipes. The chemical cleaning, the ultrasound cleaning, and then we made a test by cutting the pipe in those crucial points, those corners. And honestly, none of them were actually 100% clean in those corners. So I would say that cleaning is kind of a risky thing to do when you are about to put a new turbocharger. The price of those pipes is much, much lower than the price of a new turbo. And whenever a turbo fails because of lack of lubrication, because of the feed line, well, you can only blame yourself that you save like probably 40, 50 euro for this pipe, and you are about to put another turbo. So this is a crucial point of the whole installation. From the mechanical side, from the mechanic side, whenever the turbocharger is installed, a new turbo is installed in the engine, it's always good to pour some oil inside the turbo. Spin a wheel a few times just to make sure that the oil will fill in the oil channels inside the turbo. That's also important.
What about oil priming oil?
You mean the first engine start? Yeah, that's one of the quite common reasons for the turbocharger failure, and it's called the dry startup, which means that when we pour out the oil from the engine and then we pour the new oil inside the engine, especially when the oil pump is already worn out. It does not keep the clearances anymore. So the oil system gets actually empty. It gets empty of oil. So whenever we start the engine after such a replace of turbocharger and putting the new engine inside, the new oil, sorry, inside the engine, at the very beginning, we have, instead of pure oil flow, we have kind of a mixture of oil and air, because in oil pickup tube and the whole system, there is still a lot of air trapped. So when the engine starts, the turbocharger also starts running at quite a high speed already, even though it's only at idle. But if it runs on such oil foam, that may already damage the bearings of the turbo. So it's always better to crank the engine first, if possible, before you start the engine.
Хубаво ли е да се правят разни промивки или ревизии? То не е ревизия, ми промивки на това нещо, защото знаеме добре познатото ни 1.9 ED, вече е 110-ката, че когато се променива геометрия на турбото, се запушват лопатките, блокират лопатките. Съветва ли и окей ли е това нещо да се прочиства, да се промива? И колко време?
When you take out the VNT mechanism, you try to clean it. Sometimes it's impossible because there is too much of carbon, actually, so it can damage the vanes, and then you have to replace this element. But whenever it's possible to clean it, you can do it, but I would not suggest the sandblasting of those elements, because whenever you do it on the sandblasting machine, the surface of those vanes is more porous. So whenever you put it back on the turbo, the carbon gets stuck to such surface much sooner and much easier. So yeah, it's the thing that people do. They replace those elements or they try to clean it. But it's just half of the problem, because you have to get rid of the reason, of the root cause of the carbon. Because cleaning this element is just something you can do to improve your turbocharger. But first you have to look for the reason of the carbon buildup in the engine.
Is there anything specific that we can do as users just to slow down the process of carbon building up?
I would say, first of all, use the good quality fuel, use the good quality oil, that's for sure. Look for any symptoms you get from your car, meaning that whenever you have any faulty code about the sensors, like the oxygen sensor, the lambda sensor, the MAF sensor, always react as soon as possible, because that's also the reason for the carbon buildup that will appear in the engine. The carbon buildup will be in the engine anyway, right? Yeah. It's something we cannot actually avoid, but at least we can minimize that problem somehow. The other thing is the EGR valve. It should be also inspected, it should be cleaned, because it's also the reason of the carbon buildup in the system. Of course, the EGR valve is just a valve, it cannot be blamed for that. Yeah. Then the PCV problem. Yeah. The leaking turbocharger may be, again, it's a paradox, but the leaking turbocharger may be the reason for the carbon buildup as well. Yeah. And also, which is, I think, the most difficult to do, if we are using the car only in city driving, take the car at least from time to time on a highway. Some people call this like Italian tune-up, that you go on a highway, you keep the engine on a really high revs for some time. It can actually burn out and blow off the carbon from the system, including the turbocharger. That's something we can do just by using the car properly. But we all know what's the problem if we are using the car only at the short distances, because we use the car only to get to work and back home, then it will happen more often.
That applies to diesel cars, does it?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly diesel cars.
Okay. Let me ask you a question regarding air filters. If an air filter change is neglected over time,
there are the risks for the turbocharger. And again, I will say, I will get back to the long life policy issue, because we mentioned only about the oil change. But we must all remember that it's not only oil, it's also the air filter, the oil filter that are changed less often than they should be. So, but if we talk only about the air filter, first of all, there's a higher risk, much higher risk that you may have a foreign object coming from the air filter, which is already blocked with all the debris. And if any foreign object will enter the compressor wheel, of course, it will damage the blades. Whether it will bend a blade or break a blade, but it will damage the blade.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. The other thing is that when the air filter is blocked, the air flow from this side, from the air filter side, is not a free flow, it's more like pulsating flow. So once that may create the axial play in the assembly because it's like more pulsating.
Pulsating, yeah.
And the second thing is that there's a huge vacuum here in the hose, which in a way can also cause taking even out the oil from the breather filter. So no, we should not wait too long with that. We should not extend the time to change the air filter. Turbocharger for the proper operation needs clean oil, clean air filter, and clean exhausts. If it has that, if the turbocharger has all those, it will work. It will work.
Should we consider foreign objects as stones or leaves or stuff like that only? Are there any other foreign objects?
Oh, it can be absolutely everything, to be honest. Once on the training, I was surprised that even a mouse got inside the turbocharger. It was like
Really?
here inside in the air inlet. Yeah. So from that moment, I say that the foreign object can be absolutely everything, including the mouse. But seriously, yeah, it's everything. It can be the dust, sand. It can be a piece of leaf. If it's anything soft, it will bend a blade. Not break it, but bend it.
Yeah.
If it's some small hard stone particles, it will leave some impacts here on the upper blades. And then it can, that's also important, it can be also something that got stuck in the hose. That's why the hose between the turbo and the air filter should always be inspected and cleaned before it's being put back on the turbocharger, because we had many examples of the situation that there was some foreign object stuck on the internal side of this hose. And whenever the turbocharger was connected and the airflow got into the turbocharger, the particle broke away and hit the compressor wheel.
What about a sport filter?
I would say that there always must be the reason for that. If you have a reason to change the air filter for the sport one, it's something that's not original for the system.
Yeah.
So I would say that I'd stay with the original filter just to be sure that the turbocharger works as it should, instead of using those sport filters if it's not necessary, because there must always be the reason for that, for changing the air filter.
We come down to pressure balance again.
Yeah, of course, we can...
Добре, сега е момент тогава да го питаме за тунинга, защото не може да имаме турбокола и да ни сложиме чип, да ни сложиме спортен филтър, да ни изрежеме DPF-а или да почваме да сменяме топла студена част, да правиме хибридни турбини, или просто трябва да купим някакви готови. Всъщност фирмите, които той представлява, има ли такава рейсингова част?
Yeah, they do.
Това е разликата.
Well, actually, the difference is total. The difference is in the sizes of the wheels, the difference is in the materials of the wheels, the difference is in the bearings. Many of those performance turbochargers for motorsport, for tuning, they don't use the journal bearings, they use the ball bearings, which are much better for motorsport because the inertia of those bearings is so much different. They are more resistant for the lack of oil. They accelerate much sooner than the journal bearings. So it's actually a totally different construction of those performance products. They are dedicated for the specific engines, type of engines, the power output that you actually want to achieve. Because whenever you think about those products, those performance turbochargers, it must be used for the specific goal that you have. So whenever you want to modify the engine, you need to know what do you want to achieve, how much horsepower you want to get, whether you want the turbocharger to, let's say, stand up at the low revs of the engine, or whether you want the final let's say, output of power to be higher. So it all depends on what do you want to achieve. But yes, those turbochargers are available from the manufacturers. There's a special line of those products. Both from Garrett, from BorgWarner, they are available.
Okay, so Jacek, at the end of the day, despite all of the recommendations here, if I have my turbocharger damaged, is it the only part that needs to be changed, or are there any other associated parts that need to be changed together with the turbocharger?
Well, not only turbocharger, that would be too easy. That would be too easy. It's not that easy, unfortunately. So, first of all, it depends on the general condition of the engine. Because, for example, if the turbocharger was leaking oil on the intercooler side and you cannot actually clean the intercooler, you need to replace it. Whenever the oil pump is already worn out, it also needs to be replaced. But, as I said, these are maybe some specific cases of the condition of the engine. But in general, what we advise to change, except for the turbo, for sure, is the new oil. That's pretty obvious. Then the air filter, the oil filter, the oil fill line, as I mentioned before, that's very, very important. And I would say one word, if whenever you are replacing this pipe with the engine, that the pipe is equipped with the filter, remove the filter, don't leave the filter in this pipe, in the bungee bolt, because it doesn't help the turbocharger in a way it should, and it can actually block very easily, especially in those 1.6 engines. So better not to risk it. It's better to remove it and not to risk the damage of the turbo. So we have the inlet pipe, which is very important. The drain pipe at least should be inspected and cleaned, if not possible, replaced. And of course, the new proper gasket set. The new gasket should be used, and no liquid sealants. No liquid gasket should be never used, because
it's important.
Because that's important, because the new gasket is enough. If you have a gasket set, the brand new, and you replace it, that's fully enough. You don't need to put any liquid sealant like silicone here, because what happens is that the silicone spreads, usually, here, and it creates a ring that is blocking the flow of oil. That's the same effect as the wrong gasket. So those are the things that needs to be replaced when you install a new turbocharger.
Okay, and is there anything that you would like to add?
More or less that's it, I think. It's the turbocharged engine, as we said at the beginning, is a very good solution, I would say. Really, the technology of using the energy of the exhaust is just perfect, I would say. So whenever you have this component in your engine, take good care of it.
Okay. Май доста теми обходихме покрай турбокомпресора.
Покрай турбокомпресора аз ще ти предложа да направим още 2-3 епизода, защото аз толкова много въпроси имам към тия турбини. Истината е, че колкото и да им се плашим и да не ги харесваме, или без значение дали ги харесваме, защото имаме си лав в България, какъв е лафа, той не го знае най-вероятно, но че кола без турбо не става, защото не ти прави кеф. Така че турбината си е кеф. Искаме, не искаме, от тук нататък всички коли вече са с турбокомпресори, коя с 1, с 2, с 3, с 4, но едно от най-важните неща, влизате в интернет и търсете къде са Q-сервизите, защото виждате, тук става въпрос за микрони, за хиляди обороти и малка грешка може да доведе до скъп ремонт. Така че харесвайте ги, лайквайте ги, шервайте ги, търсете сервизите къде се намират и гледайте епизодите. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Много ми беше драго. Не знам как ще ме изпитваш. Аз имам повече въпроси, отколкото да разбирам. Много ми е интересно, много готино. Истината, че турбината е голямо откритие.
Така е. Абсолютно съгласен.